Hi folks, good evening. Welcome back to Ibrox. Myself, Joshua Barry and Chris Jack to break down what looked like for a long part of that afternoon was going to be quite a glum debriefing a game, Chris, that we've seen before. Rangers go behind, there's pressure on them, this time in the form of Celtic dropping points, which, you know, those players obviously are going to know that that's happened. They don't live under a rock. And I guess that would have meant that, I think most people would have suggested the league would have been gone, because Rangers would have demonstrated again a tendency to not win under pressure. What transpired, I think we're still trying to catch our breaths after it. James Tavernier, who'd missed the first half penalty, and Rangers did have a lot of chances today, couldn't convert any of them, stepped up to take another penalty under huge pressure in front of Copeland, put that away, and then 2 minutes later he swings in one of the best crosses he's ever swung in at Ibrox, and heads home. Try and sum that up for us, Chris. I think beyond any specifics, you could tell with the reaction of Ibrox at full time, that felt like a big win.
I think it's a day when the nuts and bolts of it, as bad as they were at times, don't actually matter. It's, as we said before the game, it's 3 points was the only thing that really mattered. How Rangers got there and how they got those 3 points, I don't think many people would have predicted. I thought it'd be a lot more comfortable than it was today. Hearts obviously stunned Ibrox for that header from Warren Shankland after 5 minutes. A really, really good header, has to be said. After that, the longer the game went on, you just never got the feeling that it was. You just never got the
feeling. We've seen it before so often.
Because we have seen it so often. How many times have this squad produced performances like this? I've been one here just a few weeks ago.
And those are games where there's sufficient time to mount a comeback. And I think the most obvious example of that is you see the tempo that Rangers played with from 1-1 to 2-1, completely different to the tempo they played with when they were behind.
That's the kind of performance and the tempo and that mentality. That's what the manager's looking to bring to this squad. That's what he's looking to instill in them. And as he said in his post-match presser there, he's taken a lot from today, not just the fact that it's 3 big points, it cuts the gap to 5, it gets her a bit more excited about a potential title race. It's what he's seen from them to be able to come through that adversity, to be able to get those 2 goals in the last 5 minutes. It does say a lot about them. And they've answered questions that we all thought we knew the answers to. I just actually written it as we're doing the analysis piece. I'd written them off and saying, title was gone. They'd fluffed the lines again. They'd ruined their big chance. And then I say those remarkable couple of minutes when Tar puts the penalty away, and then pops up a really, really good head at the back post. And the mood around Ibrox after being booed off and players being jeered, manager substitution being questioned when Cantwell goes off. All of that feeds into such a negative vibe, and then I say 2 goals. 2 goals have just completely changed the mood.
And we'll get into in the morning briefing tomorrow. We'll get into some more specifics around the game, but I think you're right. Rangers have not made a habit of winning these types of games when they go behind. They've not made a habit of, and I think one of the really interesting things that Clement said in his post-match presser was this can be a reference game. He spoke to the team before the game, and he joked, or maybe not before the game, but in the lead up to the game, he joked that maybe he shouldn't have, which I think was a joke, that he was still observing them. He was still in what he called his observation period, and he was waiting to see how they'd react to adversity. And then what he went on to say was, what I've told them in there is this can be their reference point. And before this, Chris, Rangers have not had a reference point for a game like that. I can't remember the last time. When was the last time Rangers at home at Ibrox in the league came from behind to kind of win a game late on or against the odds? Or that Aberdeen game and the Celtic game are both perfect examples. And it felt the same for a lot of the second half, where you just, us watching here in the gantry, you don't have the belief that Rangers will go and manage to get over the line. But what that game showed them is that they can do it. That if they play with the right tempo, they can do it. And James Tavernier, I think, deserves a lot of credit because he missed that first half penalty and he still stepped up. And Clement confirmed after he could have let someone else take it if he wasn't feeling in the right frame of mind to do so. Don't know how that would have been received in the stadium. But that was a big moment from him to, again, I think, defy a lot of notions that get punted around about him all the time that he has a poor mentality. That was a big mentality moment, wasn't it?
It was, and as we said just as we're walking up the stairs there, who knows how big a moment that could be. We could be easily sitting here come the end of May looking back and thinking, no, this was the afternoon that really sparked Clermont into action. This is the afternoon that sparked Rangers as potential champions. There is still a long way to go. This squad still do have mentality questions to answer, some quality questions to answer in terms of a lot of them. I don't think we can easily say just after this afternoon Rangers will go on and win the league, but I think we've seen there's a chance of it if they can maintain this. As we said pre-match, it's about building that momentum, building that feel-good factor. The manager spoke last week about the synergy between the fans and the players. If this game had been lost, that was burst within the second 90 minutes. That was all gone. People were writing off the league.
Yeah.
The pressure then really starts to build on players, and like a negative vibe again. It's amazing what a couple of goals and a couple of minutes can do. So I think it could be a really transformative afternoon for Clermont. There's still lots and lots of football to be played. A long way to go. But it just gives people something to kind of hold on to and put a bit of faith in.
And he wins a game that I think you've not seen Rangers win these types of games, and it was interesting watching Clermont's demeanour because he didn't look defeatist at all right up until the 87th minute. He was going mental at anything that would allow him to, whether it be a misplaced pass or a decision by the fourth official or if one point a Hearts player was slow coming off. I thought he was going to go and drag him off himself, but it just gives that. Listen, I think there's obvious issues still to talk about in terms of Rangers' style of play at points, in terms of the way they started the game. I thought Ridvan was targeted really obviously today with Lawrence Shankland, had a really good game. Dessers and Lammers had a really bad afternoon. We spoke pre-match about perhaps them having a kind of crowning moment, which didn't happen.
Can we see the afternoon that's going to spark them into life for next week? Just keep having this conversation now.
But to move on, Chris, I mean, Danilo, what a header. The movement that we've seen, and you'll be able to watch his press conference very soon on our YouTube channel, folks. He speaks about working with a mental coach after actually getting that injury, because obviously he took such a bad one after his last goal, which was a headed goal. He scored a lot of headers now. The one against Livingston here, which I think was to make it 2-0 on that day. He has to be Rangers' number 9. I mean, I don't think I'm not saying anything controversial there, am I? But
no, I don't think it's an opinion that's going to get you too much stick. I know I did, also when we did the video before the game, I mentioned also the answer the manager gave to me the other day there in the press conference about it will take time for Danilo to work up. He mentioned that after the game as well, it will take time. We're still trying to rebuild him, but there's only so much you can say. Well, he's short of minutes. He's short of fitness. This team are short of goals.
Yeah, and you saw the reaction from the fans at halftime when he was applauded on the pitch, and there was that belief and excitement that here's someone who actually gives a real tangible threat at the top end of the park. Which play. I mean, it's not an easy header. The movement's brilliant. It's a pressure moment, and again, just to have that reliability of goals from the little that we've seen of him so far. I think whether Wednesday night comes too soon, I'd be of the opinion that you start him and you bring him off.
I think so. It's at the stage now you need to ask him to go and win you the game first and foremost, rather than throwing him on with half an hour to go or at half time, as the case today, and say, look, can you go and try and salvage this one for us? This is bad. We need you to pull something out of that here. Let them start. Let Rangers hopefully get in command of positions in game. If it then has to come off like Todd Cantwell did, I know that was a decision that the fans didn't agree with. The manager mentioned that post-match as well. You can't just keep asking the same guys to do 90 minutes week after week after week. He's clearly very big on physical fitness and physical conditioning, and he is playing. He is considering that when he's picking teams and when he's making subs. But at some stage, the need to win games becomes more than that, and the need to win games is huge now for Rangers because they need to keep this momentum going. If Dessel gets the nod on Wednesday night, you know what the reaction is going to be. I think fingers crossed we've now come to the point where that switch can happen. Yeah.
Well, listen, we're going to end it there because I'm getting complaints about the Ibrox Wi-Fi, not our Wi-Fi, the Ibrox Wi-Fi. We'll be live tomorrow morning for a full kind of detailed look back in the game. We'll have loads of content for you over the course of the week, covering what was a big win for Rangers, as well as looking at some of the details that made it so dramatic in the end. Join us tomorrow morning at 9:30. Until then.